It is Sunday, May 8th, 2022, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. Welcome to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. All right, well, it's been a very busy weekend, and we know yesterday was the Kentucky Derby also. And I did a Facebook post um, that dealt with some of the history of African American jockeys and the Kentucky Derby. Okay. And we're going to talk about some of that history today. Black jockeys used to dominate the Kentucky Derby, used to win the Kentucky Derby, used to win the major horse races. And we were pushed out of horse racing by racism. Okay. Black jockeys dominated the Kentucky Derby and horse racing, but we were pushed out by racism. Okay, so it's a deep history, and we've talked about it before. But since the Kentucky Derby just happened, and we're in the Triple Crown season, I said will be one of our topics on today's show. And then also, we know that Kevin Samuels, the YouTuber and relationship guru, some say self-proclaimed relationship expert, we know he passed away suddenly Thursday morning. One report said he was age 53. An updated article from NBC News says he was 50. One report said he was 56 years old initially. An updated article from NBC News said that he was 53 years old. So I posted about this on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and it got over 1,000. I think it's close to 1,400 likes and hundreds of comments. And he was controversial, so some people liked him, and a lot of people did not like him. I didn't listen to him. I saw a handful of clips and I was like, who is this guy? I didn't listen to him. If I want relationship advice, I'll get it from somebody who, one, is in a relationship, and two, has some credentials. But anyway, so we discussed this on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday. Now, here's something interesting that happened. So, normally I'm a panelist of Roland Martin Unfiltered every Friday. Right. And I was doing my Thursday show, the African History Network, right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the African History Network show. So our show scheduled for an hour. We went into overtime. I was going into overtime on my social media platforms. I get an email 12:30 a.m. because we were still going for the show. So if you missed the rest of Thursday's show in overtime, you want to go to Facebook, The African History Network on Facebook, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep, to watch the show from that was Thursday, May 5th. Okay. So I get an email 12:30 in the morning from Roland Martin's producer. She says, "Hey, sorry for the short notice. I know you're on the panel tomorrow. Can you host the show?" So I said, "Sure." I emailed her while I was still in the air. I said, "Sure, I can host the show." And that's what happened. So I hosted Roland Martin Unfiltered for the first time. There have been a couple other times they asked me to host, but they were able to get somebody there on location there in the Washington, D.C. area to come into the studio to do it. So show went really well. But one of the topics we dealt with was Kevin Samuels passing away and what people thought about it. And Kelly Bethia, who's an attorney, African-American woman, Kelly told us what she really thought. So I'm gonna let you hear. I'm gonna let you hear that segment from Roland Martin Unfiltered already as well. So already we did that segment Friday. I just checked on YouTube. It's been viewed 79,000 times. That particular segment is about 15 minutes long. It's already been viewed 70, almost 80,000 times. It's already been viewed. So, and I shared it on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, and it got a lot of comments as well. Okay. Now, also, we know that today is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. We're going to deal with a little bit of the history of Mother's Day. Did you know that the founder of Mother's Day hated what the holiday became. The founder of Mother's Day hated what the holiday became. You largely talk about Anna Reeves Jarvis, who was the daughter of Anna Jarvis. And Anna Reeves Jarvis revolts against Mother's Day because of how commercialized it becomes. Okay. So we're going to deal with some of that history. Well, let me say that again. Anna Jarvis is the daughter of Anna Reeves Jarvis. Anna Jarvis revolted against the Mother's Day holiday because it became too commercialized and became commercialized very quickly. All right. So we're going to talk some about that history, talk about that a little bit as well. And then earlier in the week, I dealt with the story dealing with the Tulsa Race Massacre. And on Monday, a judge in Oklahoma ruled that the lawsuit for the survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre can move forward. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that they won, doesn't mean that they're going to win, but this lawsuit has gone farther now than it ever has before in 100 years or 100 in 100 years or so. Tulsa County District Judge Carolyn Wall ruled against a motion to dismiss the lawsuit filed by civil rights attorney Demario Solomon Simmons in 2020. So we're going to talk about this and what this means. Now, Demario, we're both panelists on Roland Martin Unfiltered, but Demario was on Tiffany Cross's show on MSNBC on Saturday, May 7th, 2022, to explain the win in court and being able to go forward with this lawsuit. Okay, so we're going to share that segment with you as well. But this is monumental. Hopefully, the three survivors, Viola Fletcher, who's 107 years old, Hugh Van Ellis, who's 101 years old, and Leslie Benningfield Randall, 107 years old. Hopefully, they get reparations. They get some type of restitution, but also the African-American citizens there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you have to make them whole again as well. You have to return the land that was taken through eminent domain, return the land that belongs to the county or the state of Oklahoma. You have to help rebuild those communities also. You can't just say it was 100 years ago and that's too bad what happened and that was a long time ago. Let's just move on and be friends. No, that's not going to work. All right, so we'll discuss those topics, and you can give us a call also. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. I'll give you information about the Heavy is the Crown documentary from director Amadeus Christ. It's now available at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Heavy is the Crown features Professor James Small, Professor Kabahaya Kamene, and Tony Browder, and deals with the African origins of the major religions. Okay, so we'll get you some information on that as well, and the online history classes I teach. We had some good classes this weekend. In class number 1 of from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968, started up today also. Now, on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events in history, politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828. To sign up for our email newsletter, text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828. To sign up for our email newsletter, also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, well, the calling number is 313-778-7600 is the calling number. Calling number if you have a quick question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. So the Kentucky Derby took place on Saturday, May 7th. It's billed as the most exciting 2 minutes of sports in the world, or something to that effect. I was watching the pregame. Not pregame. I was watching the, well, you call it pregame, the festivities on NBC. They had 5 hours. So the coverage on NBC started at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The race took place at 7:30 p.m. They have 5 hours of coverage for a 2-minute race. I kid you not. They have 5 hours of coverage for a 2-minute race. Okay. So it was an exciting race. We know Rich Strike, the horse Rich Strike, which was a 80-1 odds, actually won. And it was an exciting race. And I watched some of the coverage and leading up to it, and they talked about fashions, but they talked about the track and different things like this. So I learned some things also. Now, the Kentucky Derby is the first of what is known as the Triple Crown races. The Triple Crown races, the Triple Crown includes the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes. The Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes. So these are the 3 most coveted horse races in American racing. And it starts with the Kentucky Derby. All right. So after this, if we look at this article here from USA Today, Long Shot Rich Strike is the name of the horse. Rich Strike stuns all in winning 148th Kentucky Derby. So after disqualifications and the pandemic and thoroughbred racing's long discussion about betamethasone, the 2022 Kentucky Derby was billed as a return to normal, There was nothing normal about this. Rich Strike, who was on the also eligible list Friday morning, who was on the also eligible list until Friday morning, made a stunning move along the rail to win the Kentucky Derby on a cool and cloudy first Saturday in May at Churchill Downs at 80-1 odds. And I have to admit, it was exciting because Rich Strike came up along the rail, then went around the horse, and then you got in front of that horse and then came up and edged out the other 2 horses. So it was exciting. It took 5 hours to get to 2 minutes, but it was exciting. Rich Strike, who was on the also eligible list until Friday morning, made a stunning move along the rail to win the Kentucky Derby on a cool and cloudy first Sunday in May at Churchill Downs. Now, at 80-1 odds, Rich Strike scored the second biggest upset in the Kentucky Derby, in Kentucky Derby history, and paid $163.60 on a $2 win bet. Okay. It reminds me of the episode of Sanford and Son when Fred bet, he bet $1 and won $600 or something like that after Lamont told him don't bet. He had a dream, and he played the numbers. Now, Don Rail at 91-1 odds in 1913 is the longest shot to win the race. When we come back, we're going to deal with some of the history of black jockeys when we dominated horse racing. The first Kentucky Derby was ran in 1875. It was won by Oliver Lewis, who was a former slave and was 19 years old. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Stand by to get ready for this next segment here. All right, who we have here? Stand by, back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by, back from break in 3 minutes. All right, back from break in 2 minutes. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Stand by. Back from break in 1 minute. Okay, we got Mike Steele. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, May 8th, 2022, and we are live. Calling number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about the Kentucky Derby. And I want to get into this conversation dealing with when black jockeys dominated horse racing and how we were winning the Kentucky Derbies. And it was an orchestrated effort by jealous white men. It was racism that pushed us out of horse racing, okay, especially out of winning. All right. So we were looking at this piece here from the USA Today. Long shot Rich Strike, which is the name of the horse, Rich Strike, stuns all in winning 148th Kentucky Derby. All right, now, in NBC Sports, they have the clip here. You can watch it also. Trainer Eric Reed said, "I don't know how to put the win into words. I fell down in the paddock when he hit the wire. I almost passed out. I'm so happy. This is something is the reason everybody does this because we're not supposed to be here. But I knew this horse loved the track and we've been training so good all year." All right. So they have that there as well. Now, Rich Strike and G. Sonny Leon covered 1 1/4 miles of fast track in 2 minutes and 2 seconds and finished 3/4 of a length in front of the 4-1 favorite Epicenter. Zandon was 3/4 of a length back in third, and Simplification was another 2 lengths back in fourth. Okay, so you could check this out. Footage. It was an exciting race. I could tell you that. Now, 5 hours for a 2-minute race. I was looking, and I have a background in marketing. And I said they marketed the hell out of this race here. I said because when I was looking, I was like, okay, now what time does this race start? I was looking at the DVR and I was looking at the guide for Xfinity. I said, okay, the race starts at 7:30. I said they're gonna start the pre-show at 2:30. So somebody made a whole lot of money off of advertising. I've done some lectures in the past dealing with the history of African American jockeys. Okay, and African American men dominated horse racing. Goes back to slavery. All right, we're going to go to clip one here in just a second, Jalen. So these are some of the African American winners of the Kentucky Derby: Oliver Lewis and Isaac Murphy and William Walker and Willie Sims. When the first Kentucky Derby was ran in 1875 at Churchill Downs, 13 of the first 15 jockeys were African American, number one. But Black jockeys won 15 of the first 28 of America's most important horse races at Churchill Downs. In fact, every rider on the track at the inaugural Kentucky Derby in 1875 was Black, except for one. Yeah, 14 out of 15. 14 out of 15 African jockeys at the first Kentucky Derby were African American. The race was won by a former slave named Oliver Lewis. Oliver Lewis was a former slave. He was 19 years old. He won the first Kentucky Derby. Now, these colorful characters included Kentucky Derby winners like Willie Sims, who introduced the short stirrup to the profession, Isaac Murphy, the Derby's first three-time winner, and Jimmy Wink Winkfield, who finished all four Kentucky Derbies he rode in the money, winning twice. In the money means you win prize money. So usually you come in first, second, or third, but he won prize money in all four Kentucky Derbies that he ran. Now, Jimmy Wink Winkfield won the 1901 and 1902 Kentucky Derbies. Okay. And there's I think we have a picture of Jimmy Wink. We have a picture of him winning in 1902 right here. So he was the last African-American jockey to win the Kentucky Derby, 1902. All right. You're talking about 120 years ago when we used to dominate horse racing. Okay. Now, so you have Isaac Murphy, the Derby's first three-time winner, Isaac Murphy. Jimmy Wink Winkfield, who finished all four Derby races he rode in the money. You had others like Babe Hurd and Soup Perkins, Alonzo Lonnie Clayton, Erskine Henderson, and Billy Walker, all African-American jockeys, all won the Kentucky Derby. Now, when the first Kentucky Derby ran on May 17th, 1875, it was actually 14 out of 15 jockeys. Some sources say, I looked at different sources on this. Some sources say 13 out of 15 jockeys. Others say 14 out of 15 jockeys. I think the Kentucky Derby puts it at 14 out of 15 jockeys. So, we'll go with that. Okay, so among the first 28 Kentucky Derby winners, 15 were African-American. African-American jockeys excelled in the sport in the late 1800s, but by 1921, they had disappeared from the Kentucky Derby track. By 1921, they had disappeared from the Kentucky Derby track. And would not return until Marlon St. Julian rode in the 2000 Kentucky Derby race. Now, there's a good article from SmithsonianMag.com. I've read a number of different articles on this over the years. I first started really doing research on this probably 2012, 2013, because I was doing a lecture down in Louisville, Kentucky. And I did one dealing with the prison industrial complex, but I was supposed to do another one dealing with Black jockeys and the Kentucky Derby, but we ran out of time. So I had some research already done on this, and I've been reading articles over the years dealing with this as well. The Kentucky Derby's Forgotten Jockeys. The Kentucky Derby's Forgotten Jockeys is an article from SmithsonianMag.com, which is a good article to read on this topic. Okay, I want to go to clip number 1 here. This is actually from the Kentucky Derby's website. Okay. And in doing research on these jockeys, when I first started doing research, 2012, 2013, they had the names of the jockey winners on the Kentucky Derby's website, but they did not really have pictures of them. Okay. So when you go to their website, they show you they have a list of all the Kentucky Derby winners going back to 1875, and they showed their name, Oliver Lewis. They showed their trainer, Ansel Williamson was the trainer of Oliver Lewis, right? It didn't say they were African American, and they didn't show a picture of them. It wasn't until maybe the last 5-6 years or so that they really started like admitting these were black jockeys, these were black men. Okay. And then they put together a video. All right. So I'm going to go to clip number 1. This is a video from the Kentucky Derby's website that deals with the history, deals with a brief history of African American jockeys. Let's go to clip 1, Jalen.
The Kentucky Derby and Churchill Downs have become American institutions since their debuts in 1875, and countless individuals have contributed to their ongoing growth. Prominent among them are the African-American jockeys and trainers who helped build the early foundation of success that now spans nearly a century and a half. 13 of the 15 horses that competed in that first Derby in 1875 were ridden by African-Americans. When Oliver Lewis guided Aristides to victory for African-American training legend and eventual Hall of Famer Ansel Williamson in that first Derby, the victory was one of 15 by African-American riders in the first 28 runnings of the race. 3 of those history-making jockeys are enshrined in Racing's Hall of Fame: 3-time Derby winner and national racing hero Isaac Murphy, and 2-time Derby winners Jimmy Wheeler and Willie Sims. Also prominent is William Walker Sr., who was born into slavery and, at the age of 17, piloted Baden-Baden to win the 1877 Derby. During a 60-year career, Walker also trained horses and was a bloodline consultant to John E. Madden, who bred 5 Kentucky Derby winners. Those men, along with fellow Derby winners Lonnie Clayton, Erskine Henderson, Babe Hurd, George Garrett Lewis, Isaac Lewis, and Sue Perkins, were among the brightest stars in American racing before government-sanctioned Jim Crow laws and the poison of racism pushed them from their hard-earned prominence. Their legacy is now restored, and the accomplishments of the early African-American heroes of the Kentucky Derby are honored at Churchill Downs during Derby Week with the annual running of the William Walker Stakes.
Okay, so that is from KentuckyDerby.org. They have that at their website, KentuckyDerby.org, and it's also on their YouTube channel. Now, back in 2012, that video didn't exist because I searched all over their website, and I was like, well, wait a second, how is it that you have the name? I'm looking at the names of these jockeys, and I know who they are, and you don't have pictures of them. Okay, so find that very interesting. We're going to talk about this some more on the other side of the break. Also, you can give us a call, 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the calling number. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Bathroom break in 4 minutes. Stand by. Bathroom break in 3 minutes. The Kentucky Derby's forgotten jockey. Stand by. Stand by. Back for break in 1 minute. Okay, yeah, 13 of the 15. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. All right. I want to go back to this topic here dealing with the black jockeys, and also check out the article here from SmithsonianMag.com. The Kentucky Derby's Forgotten Jockeys. The Kentucky Derby's Forgotten Jockeys. African-American jockeys once dominated the track. By 1921, they had disappeared from the Kentucky Derby. Here's Jimmy Wink Winkfield. This picture here is this is probably from 1902, right around that time. He was the last American jockey to win the Kentucky Derby. When tens of thousands of fans assemble in Louisville, Kentucky for the Kentucky Derby, they will witness a phenomenon somewhat unusual for today's American sporting events. Of some 20 riders, none are African American. Now, this article is from 2009. Okay, this article is from April 23rd, 2009. Of some 20 riders, none are African American. Yet, in the first Kentucky Derby in 1875, 13 of the 15 jockeys were African American. Among the first 28 Derby winners, 15 were black, and African American jockeys excelled in the sport in the late 1800s. African jockeys' dominance in the world of racing is a history nearly forgotten. Their participation dates back to colonial times when the British brought their love of horse racing to the New World. Okay, founding fathers George Washington and Thomas Jefferson frequented the track, and when President Andrew Jackson moved into the White House in 1829, he brought along his best thoroughbreds and his African-American jockeys. Okay, so he owned slaves and black jockeys because they were making money for him. Now, because racing was tremendously popular in the South, it is not surprising that the first black jockeys were slaves. African Americans and especially African slaves cleaned the stables and handled the grooming and training of some of the country's most valuable horse flesh or horses. From such responsibility, African slaves developed the abilities needed to calm and connect with thoroughbreds, skills demanded of successful jockeys. For African Americans, racing provided a false sense of freedom. Racing provided a false sense of freedom. They were allowed to travel the racing circuit, and some even managed their owner's racing operation. They competed alongside whites. When black riders were cheered to the finish line, the only that mattered were the colors of their silk jackets representing their stables. Horse racing was entertaining for white owners and slaves alike, and one of the few ways for African slaves to achieve status. So when you study the history of slavery in this country, if you had some type of skill that white people could bet money on and win, and you had ways to make money for your masters, you could gain more privileges, You could travel. You can make some money for yourself oftentimes. When you look at, if you go look at Roots, okay, in Roots, you had Chicken George. Chicken George was a cockfighter. He traveled with his master around the country, and his master was able to make money off of him. But Chicken George is also able to make money in betting and things like this. He was able to make money. He was able to buy his freedom. Okay, so we're going to see this when it comes to boxing, when it comes to, but especially horse racing. Horse racing was huge. And this is, I mean, the first Kentucky Derby wasn't ran until 10 years after slavery ended in 1865, after the 13th Amendment is ratified December 6, 1865, when Georgia ratifies the 13th Amendment. Now, this is Oliver Lewis right here. Oliver Lewis was the first winner of the Kentucky Derby. He was a 19-year-old African-American man, former slave. The Kentucky Derby, the first of the Triple Crown thoroughbred horse racing, began on May 17th, 1875. The odds were good that a black jockey would win the prestigious contest, with Oliver Lewis becoming the first to do so. Oliver Lewis won the very first Kentucky Derby aboard the horse Aristides. In addition to this famous first, Oliver Lewis became an analyzer of racing data. His work became very influential in the forming of modern race charts. So what we're going to see is, with a lot of these jockeys, a lot of these African-American jockeys, not only do they revolutionize the track, not only do they win, not only do they win the Kentucky Derbies, but also racing in general, the styles, the way that they wear the stirrups, analyzing horse racing, things like this. They're also going to revolutionize it off the track as well. And Oliver Lewis was one of those to do so. The derbymuseum.org has some good information dealing with African-American jockeys as well, derbymuseum.org. Now, Jimmy Wink Winkfield was a two-time Kentucky Derby winner. In 1901, at age 19 years old, Jimmy Wink Winkfield captured his first Kentucky Derby title astride a horse named Eminence. He went on to win 161 races that year in 1901, including key victories in the Latania Derby on Hernando and Tennessee Derby, where he rode the horse Royal Victor. Blackpass.org has some good information as well on Jimmy Wink Winkfield. While these were spectacular accomplishments, Winkfield returned to the Kentucky Derby in 1902 and won again in the most important race of his career. You have William Walker, okay, who's another African-American to win the Kentucky Derby. And William Walker was born into slavery in 1860, and he was only 11 years old when he ran his first race. Now, William Walker won the Kentucky Derby in 1877 aboard Baden-Baden, the horse. William Walker's most famous race at Churchill Downs came in 1878 when he piloted Team Broick to win over Mayor Molly McCarthy in a famous match race. William Walker, considered an expert in thoroughbred breeding and bloodlines, eventually became an advisor to John E. Madden, breeder of 5 Kentucky Derby winners. So William Walker was born in 1860. So he was born 5 years after slavery ends and the year before the Civil War ends. He was born in the same year that Abraham Lincoln became president-elect in November of 1860. He was only 11 years old when he rode in his first race. Now, William Walker was an outstanding and popular jockey during a 25-year career before transitioning to another line of business in which he enjoyed great success and influence. Upon his death at age 73 in 1933, William Walker, in 1933, he had arguably become the nation's foremost pedigree expert. Okay. By 1933, he had become the foremost pedigree expert in the nation. His encyclopedic memory was legendary in racing and breeding circles, although ultimately only footnoted or entirely ignored by many racing historians. So bloodhorse.com has good information also there dealing with the African-American jockeys. So then you have Isaac Murphy. Okay. Isaac Murphy was the first person to win the Kentucky Derby 3 times. Isaac Murphy is one of the greatest jockeys in the history of thoroughbred racing. He won the Kentucky Derby 3 times, 1884, 1890, and 1891. And he wasn't just the first African-American jockey to win 3 times. He was the first jockey to win the Kentucky Derby 3 times, 1884, 1890, and 1891. Now, Isaac Murphy rode in the traditional upright English style at a time when most American jockeys rode in the more common seated position. Isaac Murphy won an amazing 44% of all of his races, which is a record still unmatched today. You have Alonzo Lonnie Clayton, who at the age of 15 won the Kentucky Derby in 1892. He was only his African-American jockey. He was only 15 years old when he won his first Kentucky Derby in 1892, Alonzo Lonnie Clayton. He was born March 27th, 1876 in Kansas City, Missouri to Robert and Eveline Clayton. On May 11th, 1892, Alonzo Lonnie Clayton rode in and won the Kentucky Derby, where he recorded a time of 2 minutes 41 seconds in 2 minutes 41 seconds in riding Azra, A-Z-R-A. He also set a record as the youngest rider to win the prestigious race. And here he is on top of his horse as well. Okay, now you may ask the question, so what happened? It was so great. What happened to these jockeys? How did they get pushed out of horse racing? Okay, so very quickly, I have a 2-hour lecture dealing with this, but we don't have 2 hours here to deal with this. Reasons for black jockeys' demise in horse racing: racism. Number one, in 1896, Plessy versus Ferguson, U.S. Supreme Court case instituted segregation. 2, economic recessions of the period shrunk the demand for black jockeys as racetracks closed and attendance fell. 3, intensified competition for mounts, intensified competition because white men got jealous of the type of money we were making. Okay, as long as we were making money for white men while we were slaves, it was all good. When we can start making money for ourselves and get like a bigger chunk of it, now it's a problem. 4, violence on the racetracks against African-American jockeys by white jockeys prevailed without recourse. Jimmy Wink Wingfield received death threats from the Ku Klux Klan. 5, anti-gambling groups campaigned against racing, causing more closures of the racetracks. And then northern migration of African Americans from southern farming communities further contributed to the decline of black jockeys. But you're going to have an organized effort. There was an article from 1900 from the New York Times: Negro jockeys shut out combination of white riders to bar them from the turf. This article from the New York Times, 1900, deals with the organized effort of white men to force African-American jockeys out of horse racing. We'll talk about this some more on the other side of the break. We'll also talk about Kevin Samuels, YouTuber and relationship guru, passing away unexpectedly. And I'm going to share an excerpt from Roland Martin Unfiltered, where we dealt with this. It's already been viewed 80,000 times. You're going to get to see it also. You listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Stand by. Okay, back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by, back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast in social media platforms. Back from break in 3 minutes. All right, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. We'll post the information here. I'm going to post a link. You can order the full 2-hour lecture that I've done. I did this one back in 2019, dealing with when black jockeys dominated horse racing. Where is that? Right here. Okay, so it's right on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And it's right under the 6-lecture bundle pack, Black Migration 1619 to 2019. We actually have that lecture in this bundle pack also, the Black Migrations bundle pack. If you want to order the bundle pack, I think is $50. Digital load is $45, something like that. But here's the lecture here. We have it in DVD format and digital download format. It's a 2-hour lecture that I've done when black men dominated horse racing and how an organized effort forced them out. I'm going to post the links here. How you doing, Leon? Stand by. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. All right. It is Sunday, May 8th, 2022, and we are live. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, Superstation, the Future Radio. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about some of the history of African-American jockeys and how we got pushed out of horse racing also. All right. We have at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, we have the 2-hour lecture that I've done dealing with when black men dominated horse racing. So I'm going to post a link here, and it's right on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's right here. We have it in DVD format and digital download format. It's a 2-hour lecture that I did back in 2019. So I think the digital download is $8 and the DVD is $10. And then we also have this 6-lecture bundle, the Black Migration 1619 to 2019 6-lecture bundle of 6 of my lectures. And when black men dominated horse racing is one of those 6 lectures also. So we have that right on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And I posted the link here also. We have it in digital download format or in a DVD format. Okay. So the last article I was talking about was this from this slide here. And this is an article from the New York Times from 1900. Negro jockeys shut out combination of white riders to bar them from the turf. So this is a New York Times article from the year 1900. And the article begins, quote, "The decline of the Negro jockey has been so apparent since the season of 1900 opened that even the casual race goer has had an opportunity to comment upon it. The public generally accepted the theory that the old-time favorites of African blood had outgrown their skill and really were out of date because of their inability to ride up to their form of past years." So they're saying that what a lot of people were saying is that they were past their prime. Okay, the public generally accepted the theory that the old-time favorites of African blood had outgrown their skill and really were out of date because of their inability to ride up to their form of past years, end quote. The article went on to say, quote, racing men know better. As a matter of fact, the Negro jockey is down and out, not because he could no longer ride, but because of a quietly formed combination to shut him out. Because of a quietly formed combination to shut him out. Silk, Saddles, and Discrimination was an article theroot.com had about this as well. Okay, so you can check that out as well. But I have a lot of information on this. I've been researching this for a few years, going back to 2012 when I was going to do a lecture in Louisville, Kentucky, actually. So, all right, let's go to the phone last. Let's go to John on line 1. John, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from, John.
Michael, we lost John.
Okay, John, you call back. We're going to go to also read the article here from Smithsonian mag.com, official website of the Smithsonian Institute. They have a really good article from 2009, The Kentucky Derby's Forgotten Jockeys. The Kentucky Derby's Forgotten Jockeys. All right, I'm going to change topics here. I want to go to dealing with Kevin Samuels and the sudden passing of Kevin Samuels. Some call him self-proclaimed relationship expert or relationship guru, or however you want to put it. He passed away Thursday morning. It was May 5th, Thursday morning, May 5th. Thursday, well, he passed away Thursday morning, but it circulated Thursday night, I guess it was. Rumors of his death first circulated on social media Thursday night. And Kevin Samuels, a YouTuber who became known for his controversial relationship advice, has died. His mother confirmed to NBC News. Now, I saw some stuff on social media Thursday when I was on the air and getting off the air. Thursday, I saw some things on social media floating around, and I was like, okay, Kevin Samuels, I know who he is. I'm like, okay, he died. What happened? But the information was really sketchy. Okay, it was they didn't have anybody who actually confirmed, like no family members who confirmed. They weren't naming family members by name who confirmed that he had died. I saw the name of one woman who's a friend of his who said she talked to family. I saw the article from the Revolt that said they got it from reliable sources. He's dead. They didn't name anybody. And when you have somebody that's especially like somewhat kind of a celebrity, what have you, that's not how they announce that somebody died. Usually it's the publicist will put out an official statement, a manager will put out an official statement, an attorney will put out an official statement, or something like that, or a family member. Okay, but this was like really strange. So we'll go to the clip on the other side of the break because we're coming up here on the break. But I'll get into this article, then we'll go to the clip here. We talked about this on Roland Martin Unfiltered. And it's got pretty interesting. Kevin Samuels, YouTuber with 1.4 million subscribers, has died, his mother says. Okay, so I posted this article, and this is the only article I think I posted about him dying because it actually had details and had a confirmation from a named family member. Okay, not unnamed sources, a named family member. Kevin Samuels is a YouTuber who became known for his controversial relationship advice, has died, his mother confirmed to NBC News. Rumors of his death circulated on social media Thursday night, and his mother, Beverly Samuels Birch, declined to release details about what happened. She says she learned of her son's death from social media, which is like really tragic. You learn that your son died from social media. She said that was terrible. She said, quote, that was terrible. That was a terrible thing for social media to put that out. I didn't even know. I had not even been notified. She said in a phone call on Friday. She said, quote, all I'm doing is requesting that people pray for us, end quote. And so Thursday, after I got off the air, I checked Roland's Facebook and YouTube page. I mean, Facebook and Instagram, and he said he was trying to confirm that actually that he had passed away before he put information out. Okay, so I was waiting for him to confirm, or TMZ. And some people said, "Oh, well, he's not. Kevin Samuels not big enough for TMZ to do a story on him." TMZ did a story on him. Okay, so did the New York Times. All right, so don't. I already knew they were going to do it. Stuff starts trending, they start picking up that. They start writing articles about it. We'll deal with this on the other side of break. List to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. We're going to go to the Roland Martin clip here when I was guest hosting. Stand by. Okay, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App. $ the AHN show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN show. Follow us here on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. And we have the information right here. Bathroom break in 2 minutes. Where is it? Right here. Okay, this is our Cash App tag, $ the AHN show through Cash App, and through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN show. And we have it right on the homepage of our website also. Stand by. Bathroom break in 1 minute. Stand by. Come back from break in 30 seconds.
DF Farmington Hills, Detroit, 910 AM Superstation, a division of Adele Media. The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about the passing of Kevin Samuels. And before we go back to that, you can register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, where they didn't teach you in school. So we have a new section that just started up. We had class number 2 this weekend. As soon as you register, you can start watching the content. Okay, we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. So I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips, and as even after the course is over with, the class is still archived. You can go back and watch it anytime. We had a new section of from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968, to start up today. When I scheduled it to start up on May 8th, I didn't realize it was Mother's Day. So we did an intro. We did a 1-hour introduction to the class today. As soon as you register for it, you can watch that. There's other bonus content. And we're going to start class number 1 on Sunday, May 15th. So you haven't missed anything. The class is on sale $80, regularly $130. We have the information at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And also you can support us, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. All right. I want to go back to the Kevin Samuels story. So I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered as a guest host for the first time, normally a panelist each Friday, but I guest hosted. And we talked about, we're going to clip number 2, Jalen, from Roland Martin Unfiltered. And here's what happened. Let's go to clip 2, Jalen.
Well, it's been confirmed that Kevin Samuels, the controversial self-proclaimed social media dating expert, has died. He was 56 years old. According to the police report, EMS was called to Kevin's home Thursday morning for a person injured and found Kevin unresponsive on the floor of his apartment. EMS transported him to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. Samuels had a significant following on social media and often sparked debates with his hot takes on dating and relationships. Okay, and that's to put it mildly. All right. So I had waited. I'm going to go to my panel on this here. I had waited to post about him passing away till I really got to confirm.
When I got to ASU,
Okay, it's an ad playing, so we're going to get past that ad because Roland's got to make some money.
Of course I
understand
do. To the family of Kevin Samuels, you have my condolences. Just from an ethical standpoint, a mother lost her child, and that is something that there's no word for when a mother loses their child. You have a widow when a person loses their spouse. You are an orphan when you lose your parents, but there's no real word in the English language, to my knowledge, for when a parent loses a child. So that's how devastating this is for the family of Kevin Samuels. And with that, you have my condolences. But that said, that notwithstanding, rather, his legacy is more than that of one son. His legacy is more than that of one's father. My understanding is that he does have children. His legacy, by and large, is that of a hateful misogynist. And as a Black woman who had to basically navigate through his rhetoric for the past basically 2 years, because my understanding of him was, his cult, so to speak, kind of grew during the pandemic on Clubhouse. As someone who had to navigate through those waters, it is incredibly hypocritical and almost a sense of poetic justice to me that this man died in the very way and from the very thing he cursed onto fat Black women on his platform. He died of a heart attack, and he essentially died alone. And for someone to basically make a living and build a following on the back of Black women in such a disparaging, belittling, degrading way, as if Black women don't deal with enough. I have but so much empathy for the death of this man. And let's just say, people did get some help from him. I saw some anecdotes of men who went to therapy because of him and women who lost weight because of him and things like that. That does not take away the bulk of his rhetoric, which is essentially that Black women were worthless, that they did not have value unless you ascribe to Eurocentric standards of beauty and society. And that's simply not true. Further, he did not care about Black women, and yet, because of the low self-esteem that these Black women had on his show, it was under the guise of help anything that came out of his mouth, which wasn't necessarily genuine, authentic, or even true. So, again, the fact he constantly pushed this notion that fat women were slovenly and had little to nothing to do with society. He went so far as to say last month that if you are over 35 and unmarried, that you are leftovers. And what got me was, all of that notwithstanding, he insinuated that where's my quote? That basically you should not believe a child if they are accusing a family member if they're accusing the family member of molesting them or sexual assaulting them. And for me, that was kind of the straw that broke my back. Like, you can say whatever you want about dating, relationships, what have you, but you're talking about putting children in danger for the sake of the ego of a man. I do not ascribe to that logic. I do not ascribe to that rhetoric. And like I said at the beginning of this segment, while a mother lost a child, the rest of society lost something toxic. We disposed of something toxic yesterday. So with that,
go ahead and skip this ad.
Okay, go ahead and skip this ad.
I say good riddance.
All right. Next time, tell us how you really think, Kelly. Let's go to Matt. Matt, did you follow Kevin Samuels? Did you? What were your thoughts here? I've only seen like clips of them. I didn't pay attention to them really. I read the statements about 35 and over, unmarried or leftovers. I thought that was ridiculous. But what are your thoughts here, Matt?
I don't have anything astute to say. I think Kelly said almost everything I was thinking and far more eloquently than I could have said it. I can count on my hand the number of his videos I watched. And the little bit that I did see was misogynistic. I mean, I have seen people on my own social media trying to sanitize the legacy. I mean, there are some people for whom they said, for instance, look, he spoke to men just as critically at the beginning of his posting, and then he kind of transitioned to women. And that may be true. I don't have any empirical evidence on that, but what I saw was just per se hateful, and it was leveraging hate. It was people watched him because he continued to attack Black women and tried to find a way to continually devalue them. And I didn't think that has any redeeming quality. So kind of like Kelly said, I have empathy insofar as somebody losing a family member is always a sad and difficult thing. But in terms of what he put out, the little bit that I saw, I didn't see much redeeming value in it. And, we can't continue to allow that to happen. I think that, there are things that can have entertainment value, things that can be relatively innocuous, but we cannot give license to somebody to attack Black women, particularly not only because we know how important and valuable and incredible Black women are, but because we are a community, right? Our community aesthetic should allow that to happen. And that's what this brother was doing in the few videos that I saw, and in most of what was posted from my understanding. So my thoughts echo Kelly's sentiment.
Well, Jason, you're a college professor and you teach African American studies. So, have any arguments over Kevin Samuels' videos broken out in your classrooms between African American students at all? What I'm just wondering, because in African American studies you deal with gender issues, you deal with misogyny, things like this. There was misogyny in the civil rights movement. Roland's talked about that here. That's why Ella Baker was passed over for a permanent leadership position in Southern Christian Leadership Conference because, Dr. King was a sexist and others were sexist. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, now you want me to kind of go in on the civil rights movement. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole, but I think that, women's legacy in the civil rights movement, a lot of my students come in not knowing who Ella Baker or Diane Nash, who they are, or even knowing the name. They all know, John Lewis, but they don't know Diane Nash. But anyway, in terms of Kevin Samuels, I've been on social media and I've written posts since I've heard about his death and erased them all before I, press send. In part because I have this ethos that essentially, if I don't have anything good to say, I won't say anything at all, at least for 24 hours after you die. Because of what you said about his mother not knowing about his death, finding it out from social media, other family members might not know. And I wouldn't want for them to see, not that they would come across my social media magically, but for them to see the first thing is me, trashing a dead guy. So like has already been stated, I have empathy for his mother. I have empathy for his family members. And maybe even a little bit for his fans. I don't know. But certainly what he said was damaging.
Okay, we're going to pause it right there. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation and Future Radio. I'm host, Brother Michael Imhotep. Calling number is 313-778-7600. Give us a call. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by. So there's a discrepancy on his age. So, for instance, the original article from NBC News said he was 56. Then they updated it on May 6th at 5:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because they said that the Fulton County Medical Examiner listed Samuel's age at 53. An article here that I'm looking at from 2 days ago from the Source magazine listed his age as 57. So like right here, we look at this article here from NBC News. The Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office said in the press release that it performed an autopsy and the cause and manner of death are pending. They put his age at 53. Okay, stand by. Let me try to pull up this article here from the Source. There was also one from New York Times. Back from break in 2 minutes. All right, stand by. Back from break in 1 minute. Okay, so the New York Times puts his age at 57. So I don't know.
After History Network show, we deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. It was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the compass of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. We have it all on 910 AM Superstation.
Welcome back to the After History Network show. All right. Right before the break, we were talking about passing of Kevin Samuels, self-proclaimed relationship expert, YouTuber. He had 1.4 million subscribers on YouTube. Now, the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office puts his age at 53 in the updated article from NBC News, because they updated the article originally came out May 6th, which was Friday, May 6th at 10:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then they updated it at 5:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when they updated the article, because I printed out the original article. When they updated the article, they listed his age at 53 because the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office said in a press release that it performed an autopsy and the cause and manner of death are pending. The office listed Samuel's age as 53. Okay. Originally, let me see here. I'm looking at the original article before it was updated. It was floating around that he was 56 years old. So this puts his the medical examiner's office puts his age at 53. New York Times, the article here from the New York Times, and I don't think they're citing the medical examiner's office. They put his age at 57. So we'll find out. Probably from his mother. We'll find out. This article here from the New York Times: Kevin Samuels, a polarizing YouTube personality, dies at 57. Styling himself as an image consultant, Mr. Samuels aimed his advice at Black men and women, drawing a large following and a chorus of detractors who condemned his views as outdated and cruel. Okay, so this is from May 7th, 2022, and they put his age at 57. So I've seen 53, 56, 57. There's an article from The Source that we'll go to after we go back to this clip here from Roland Martin and Filter when I was guest hosting from Friday, May 6th. Let's go back to the clip, Jalen.
And he monetized it. You know, he wasn't just a guy with an opinion. He monetized destroying people's self-esteem. And to me, that's despicable, particularly when it's Black people. So, you know, one of the points that Matt brought up was, did he, you know, people say he disparaged Black men as well as Black women. And I don't think that makes it any better. You know, I think that's a fact. Say again, I'm sorry.
What does it take to be a champion?
Skip over that.
I said it really doesn't. I agree.
Right. I think that, you know, if there's been a people, you know, whose self-esteem and self-worth has been attacked, it's been Black people. You know, I would argue more Black women, but Black men as well. And so we don't need that kind of, you know, cancer from within. Now, I will never wish death upon anybody. I don't wish death upon my worst enemy. But, you know, I will also be honest about the part of your legacy that I know. I mean, he may have donated some of that money to good causes. And I'll leave it to those people to speak to the good parts of his character. And I hope that they step up and say good things, that the good things he was doing for his community or for his church or whatever. But as far as his public persona and his profession, I think that he did a lot of things that were damaging. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that while also acknowledging his humanity and the fact that he died at 56. He was a relatively young man. And there are people who can evolve. Even at 56 years old, you can still evolve. So he died young. He died before he could change or apologize for some of the damage that he did within our community. And I know I'm going to get probably a whole lot of comments because every time I've mentioned Kevin Samuels in the past on social media, a bunch of dudes that I don't know come out of the woodwork, you know what I mean? And it's like 85 comments, calling me a simp and all this and that. So, I'm ready for it. I'm out there. So you can do that. And when I die, you can go and say he was a simp.
But what I'm saying, what you're saying right now, Jason, they're calling me bitter in the comments right now. That is my point. Like, you are reinforcing my point of the toxic waste that he has spilled upon the world, and with his passing, at least that faucet has stopped. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm fat does not mean I am bitter. Just because he was talking about fat women does not mean I am bitter towards his comments. I am just speaking truth to power, just like how he was powering lives. It's no different. And like I said,
let's keep it real. I don't really know that many black guys that aren't into full-figured women, to be honest. That's, maybe it's just my friends.
I don't have a problem dating. I'll say that much. That's all I'm going to say about it.
I don't doubt that either. But I hate the fact that kind of rhetoric, and not just him, it wasn't just Kevin Samuels. He didn't invent this lane. There were a whole lot of others who have come before him, who got exposed for certain things, who were exploiting, basically trying to run the opposite racket of Kevin Samuels. And, basically all it did was cause these kind of gender wars between black men and black women and having us fight each other when we need each other. And that was the frustrating thing for me.
All right. So that's what happened on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Very interesting. But that video went it's gotten over 80,000 views so far. Okay, it's gotten over 80,000 views so far. And interesting, I think over 2,000 comments or something on Roland's YouTube page. Then I posted it on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. So a lot of people were commenting on it also. Okay. I want to go to this article there was one from thesource.com that I saw. So I'm still waiting on some key details to come out. We're still waiting on the cause of death, things like this, right? So this article here from thesource.com, hip hop website, news website. Kevin Samuels' police report reveals he was with 32-year-old nurse before he died. So I heard some things about this, on social media. I like to go read the information, not in a social media post, but actually read the article. They put his age at 57. And they said that according to the Atlanta Police Department incident report, on Thursday morning, emergency medical teams found Kevin Samuels unresponsive on the floor of his apartment where they performed CPR on him. 32-year-old a woman they are referring to as Miss A, initial A, name withheld for privacy, identified herself and said she'd met Samuels the prior night, quote, came to his apartment and spent the night with him. Now, Miss A told police that early in the morning, Kevin Samuels began to complain of chest pain. Quote, she attempted to help him, but he fell on top of her, and she proceeded to notify 911. She also revealed that she asked the 911 operator to contact the front desk of Samuel's apartment building for a defibrillator, okay, to keep him, quote, responsive until Grady arrives because she is a nurse, end quote. Now, Samuels was taken to Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta. His mother, Beverly Samuels Birch, confirmed her son's death to NBC News Friday morning, sharing that she learned the shocking news from social media. All right. Let's see. Okay, the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office has not yet revealed the cause of death. Okay, our condolences to Kevin Samuels' loved ones at this time. Then they have the incident report here as well. So involved persons, okay, Native, Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islanders, the female. Kevin Samuels, Black, he was born 1965, so that would put him at 57. So now, I ain't gonna spend too much time on this, but it's interesting that he would talk about African American women oftentimes derogatorily, but he's with a woman who's Native, Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander. Okay. All right. So you can research this however you want to. I'm just going to post this right here for you. You can read that. And you can read the police report, incident report, everything, if you like. Okay. So we're coming up here on a break. When we come back from the break, we're going to deal with the Tulsa Race Massacre. So early in the week, on our Monday show, we talked about how the Tulsa Race Massacre reparations lawsuit has survived a motion to deny and will move forward. The attorney for the three survivors, Demario Solomon Simmons, he was on Tiffany Cross's show on Saturday on MSNBC. I'm gonna let you hear that clip. We'll talk about this as well when we come back from the break. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by, everybody. Okay, the new documentary, Heavy is the Crown, is available right now at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It deals with the African origins of major religions. All right, stand by. Back from break in 3 minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 2 minutes. Bathroom break in 1 minute. Stand by. Bathroom break in 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on the 910 AM the Superstation. Okay. Earlier in the week, on Monday, May 2nd, we talked about this story dealing with the Tulsa Race Massacre. Okay. Tulsa Race Massacre reparations lawsuit survives motion to deny and will move forward, judge rules. Okay. We're going to go to clip 3 here in just a minute. Jalen from MSNBC, the Cross Connection. So the plaintiffs in a lawsuit seeking reparations for the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre celebrated a judge's ruling on Monday when she allowed their case to move forward after defendants sought a motion to dismiss the case. Judge Caroline Wall, who's a judge there in the Oklahoma area, Tulsa County District Court Judge Caroline Wall, said the motion to dismiss was granted in part and denied in part, which essentially allows the case to proceed, but it's unclear what will happen next. It's unclear what will happen next, including details on a potential trial, according to Michael Schwartz, one of the attorneys for the plaintiffs. Now, the plaintiffs' attorneys pleaded on Monday afternoon, okay, which was May 2nd, Monday, May 2nd, for the judge to allow the case to move forward. So the survivors and descendants of victims from the massacre could have their day in court, potentially their last chance to get some semblance of justice, potentially their last chance to get some semblance of justice. So a packed courtroom in Tulsa erupted in cheers and applause at the judge's ruling, including the 3 remaining survivors who are all over 100 years old. Okay. So you have, I want to go to this clip here from Roland Martin Unfiltered from, I'm sorry, I want to go to this clip here from the Cross Connection with Tiffany Cross. We talked about this on Monday, but attorney Demario Solomon Simmons was her guest on Saturday. And the 3 survivors are Leslie Benningfield Randall, 107 years old, Viola Fletcher, 107, and Hughes Van Ellis, 101 years old. Let's go to clip number 3, please, Jalen.
For months, our TV screens have been blanketed with wall-to-wall coverage of Ukrainians fighting for their lives as they're displaced from their homes, having their houses bombed, and countless lives lost. But what if I told you that just over 100 years ago, the exact same thing happened to American citizens right here on American soil? Well, that's exactly what happened when a mob of an angry white mob armed by local officials descended on 35 blocks in the Black area of Tulsa, looting, killing, and burning it to the ground.
I will never forget the violence of the white mob when we left our home. I still see Black men being shot, Black bodies lying in the street. I still smell smoke and see fire. I still see Black businesses being burned. I still hear airplanes flying overhead. I hear the screams. I have lived through the massacre every day.
She certainly deserves justice, as do all the survivors. And on Monday, an Oklahoma judge ruled that a lawsuit seeking reparations for the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre can proceed, bringing hope for some measure of justice. Joining me to talk about this very important story is Demario Solomon Simmons. He's the attorney for the Tulsa survivors and descendants. Demario, my brother, I'm so happy to have you on the show this morning. Tell us what exactly this means for the case going forward. What are the next steps?
Absolutely, Tiffany. So good to see you, and thank you for your continued support. Listen, we made history on Monday with the opportunity for the first time in more than 100 years to have a case connected to the Tulsa Race Massacre to move forward in some fashion. That is the good news. Now, we don't know exactly how we're moving forward because we're waiting for the actual written order from our judge, but we are so ecstatic and elated that our survivors and our community has an opportunity to move this case forward. Tiffany, you've met all the survivors. You know them pretty well. They were all in the courtroom at the time. And of course, Mother Fletcher and Mother Randall both been 107. They don't hear as well if you're not talking directly to them. For Uncle Red, there in the middle, 101 years old, he hears everything perfectly. And when I looked around and saw that he was bawling like a baby because he finally knows that this is an opportunity to be able to move forward in this case, it was the best possible feeling I've ever had in the professional setting.
Well, I'm happy you brought up Uncle Red. I want to play some sound from him when he learned about this ruling. I believe you were seated next to him. He talked to one of our colleagues, Omar Jimenez at CNN. Take a listen.
You really feel it deep down to your core.
Yep.
It's been a long time coming.
Long time. Long time coming. It's gonna come. A change is coming.
After decades and decades of trying, this is just for a chance.
This thing never happened like this before. You go back 100 years.
And you won't stop till it's done.
Won't stop till it's We'll not stop. We could keep driving. I'm gonna be 130 years old. I've been here a long time.
We love Uncle Red. We love Uncle Red. Listen, you know, I've been there with you, Brother Demario. You know, I've been to the Greenwood district of Tulsa. And it is, I mean, just enraging to see what the Black folks there experienced. And I'm just curious because we've seen what happened there ripple through time and ripple through generations. Mother Fletcher's children and her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren were impacted by the wealth that was taken and stolen. And these people were not bothering anybody. They were just living their lives that so outraged the angry people there. Approximately how much wealth do you think was lost when the destruction of Greenwood happened?
Well, listen, just talking about the property damage alone, just the property damage, not the lives, not the business opportunities. Property damage is, according to Harvard University, is over $200 million just in property damage alone. So when you start factoring in the hundreds of thousands, or what we believe to be thousands of lives that were lost. When you talk about the loss of wealth of a generation, when you think about a person like J.B. Stratford, who owned the largest African-American owned hotel in the nation at the time, was a multimillionaire, had all his properties burnt to the ground, and then he was ran out of Tulsa as a refugee. He could not come back because they bogusly put indictments on him as saying he was the reason behind the massacre. So he lost everything. So just imagine, instead of, in addition to seeing Marriott's and Hyatt's and Hilton's and those type of hotels, you would see Stratfords all over the nation. So you take people like Dr. A.T. Jackson, was considered the finest Negro, quote unquote, Negro surgeon in the nation, or attorney H.A. Smitherman that owned the Tulsa Star, which was the largest, the first African-American publication or newspaper to have a national circulation. Once again, everything burned to the ground, and he was ran out of Tulsa, never to return because they put false indictments on him.
It's awful, Demario.
In terms of wealth.
Well, I want to point out to the Chamber of Commerce attorney, John Tucker. He was asked about this, and essentially he said that the massacre was horrible, but the nuisance is not ongoing. And what happened in 1921 was a really bad deal, and those people did not get a fair shake. But that was 100 years ago. If I stole money from somebody 50 years ago, I still think a judge might say, hey, you need to run him back his coins because you stole something from him. It sounds like he's saying, why are you bringing up old stuff? And how disrespectful to these three people who are over 100 years old, who survived this level of white supremacy and terror. Just curious what you would respond to Mr. Tucker with.
What I'll respond is that what we've shown in court, that the president of the Tulsa Chamber of Commerce, Mike Neal, admitted in 2019 that the Chamber of Commerce activities during the massacre and since the massacre is a direct result of the economic disparities that are in Tulsa today within the Greenwood district specifically. So he can say what he wants to say. The reality is that their leadership recognized, as you know, Tiffany, the mayor has said the same thing, that the racial and economic disparities that we see in Tulsa today is a direct result of the 1921 race massacre. Here's the deal. Oklahoma's nuisance law allows us to say if a nuisance was created and if that nuisance is ongoing until it's fixed or abated, then we have a valid claim. Think about it in this manner.
Well, I want to let you make that point tomorrow, but we're out of time, so you'll have to come back. We're way over time, but thank you not only for being here this morning, but for the work that you do and your continued fight. You always say justice is your ministry, so keep fighting, good brother. We appreciate you.
Okay, we're going to go to clip 4 when we come back from the break, Jalen. Okay, so if we look here quickly at the piece from the Associated Press, this article from the Associated Press is called "Judge Lets Tulsa Race Massacre Reparations Lawsuit Proceed." So DeMario and the other attorneys, they're using the nuisance law in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to bring forth this lawsuit. Okay, DeMario Solomon Simmons sued under Oklahoma's public nuisance law, saying the actions of the white mob that killed hundreds of black residents and destroyed what had been the nation's most prosperous black business district continue to affect the city today. The lawsuit also seeks reparations for descendants of victims of the massacre. Okay, so it's not just for the 3 survivors, but it's also for descendants of victims of the massacre. Quote, in public nuisance cases, it is clear either criminal acts or destruction of personal property constitute a nuisance, said Eric Miller, a Loyola Marymount University law professor working with the plaintiffs. Okay, in public nuisance cases, it is clear either criminal acts or destruction of personal property constitute a nuisance. Now, Professor Eric Miller said that racial and economic disparities resulting from the massacre continue to this day. And then they have the comment from Chamber of Commerce attorney John Tucker, who said what happened in 1921 was a really bad deal, and those people did not get a fair shake, but that was 100 years ago. Okay, he's basically telling them to go fly a kite. When we come back from the break, I want you to hear this segment from May 29th, 2021, when Tiffany Cross was down in Tulsa for the 100th commemoration of Tulsa Race Massacre, and she interviewed Mayor G.T. Bynum, who's a white Republican mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You're not going to want to miss this because his family owned slaves. You listen to the African History Network show. We'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Okay, share this broadcast on social media platforms. All right, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Back from break in 2 minutes. Back from break in 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show. Okay, right before the break, we were talking about the lawsuit regarding the survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre, and a Tulsa County District Judge, Judge Caroline Wall, said that the case can move forward, the lawsuit can move forward. I want to go to back to May 29th, 2021, right around the time of the 100th commemoration of the Tulsa Race Massacre. Tiffany Cross was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she was covering the story, and she actually spoke to Mayor G.T. Bynum, who's the white Republican mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and his family owned hundreds of slaves collectively. Let's go to clip 4, Jalen.
I think there is a role for white people to have a place in this conversation.
Right.
I want you to take a listen. I was able to speak with Mayor G.T. Bynum. He is the Republican mayor here. And you have a very interesting report that we'll talk about on the other side. But I asked him about his own connection to racism and enslavement in this country. I want you to take a listen. With you specifically, the Bynum family, I'm sure you know, enslaved nearly 1,000 people. And you inherited that wealth from the family, where the African Americans here in the community had their wealth taken from them. So when you say no cash payouts, I think people look at it and say, well, wow, you inherited wealth, you inherited your position in life because of enslaving people who look like me. How do you reconcile saying, yeah, but that was then, and we don't owe you anything for that now?
Because you're asking me about reparations for an event that was a criminal act 100 years ago.
Right. But something that your family benefited from, the system of enslavement, of systemic racism. So can you imagine how the descendants of the enslaved look at your position in life compared to their own, and hear you say, well, no, cash payouts make people uncomfortable? I assume you mean the white people of Tulsa and people who... All right, so I should note that we did get a response from the mayor's office, and he says he doesn't know anything about this, and did not really address, as you see in my question, his own family's connection to enslavement. But you were the reporter to uncover this, so talk a bit, if you will, about what you uncovered, and if you will, respond to what he said.
Wow, I am blown away by his response. We want to reconcile, right? We had a race war here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the seeds of that horrible behavior were born in institutional slavery. And here's the thing about Mayor G.T. Bynum's family that we found out. First of all, when you come from wealth, when you come from a powerful political family, you have your history is thoroughly recorded. And so, what we found is that at the end of the 1860 slave schedule, Mayor G.T. Bynum's family, the descendants of the first Bynums that came to Jamestown in 1616, they had a total of 931 enslaved people. And so you think about that wealth. You think about, as a descendant, my family only had 56 years to build our wealth from 1865 to 1921. Just 56 years.
Right.
His family had from 1619 or from 1666, when we have confirmed, slave involvement in his family, all the way to 1865. Just think about that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I was going to just say the other thing that's important to note is the history of mayors in his family as well. So let's also be clear that there is an economic and a political connection to the continued oppression and the privilege for white folks, right? So as we sit in the heart of Greenwood right now, we're sitting in an area where Black people don't own any of the buildings. You know what I mean? Like in 1921, we owned this entire area. We don't own anything here now. That's something that he could resolve through policy. That's something that must be resolved through policy, to get back to the heart of your first question to me, right? Like, and it needs to happen at the local level, at the state level, at the federal level. They're not even willing to do that. They set up a commission here that raised $30 million, and they can't find a penny of that to go to the survivors or to even ensure economic development that benefits Black people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we should note the commission has been, they canceled their events. However, the Legacy Fest, which is run by the actual descendants,
right,
and Black residents of the community, continues. Jelani, you wanted to weigh in.
So, the problem here is a fundamental moral one. The people are seeking absolution from history. And when you seek absolution from the worst atrocities of history, and we know this well, what you do is facilitate the replication of those atrocities in the present. So it's not coincidental that we're having this conversation about Tulsa and having this conversation about January 6th. Or we could say this conversation about Charlottesville, or this conversation about Charleston, or this conversation about El Paso, or this conversation about Pittsburgh. If the vector of hatred moves through history, it's transmitted by denial.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about this, it's presumed that we're coming from a critical place. We're coming from a place of salvation in the effort to make sure that we don't see these actions repeated ad infinitum. We don't want 3 generations from now for people to come up and say we're having the 150th, the 200th, the 250th commemoration of what happened in Tulsa, and the complicated, compounded atrocities that will have happened in the intervening time.
Absolutely.
Okay, that was from May 29th, 2021, the Cross Connection, Tiffany Cross, MSNBC. The name of that clip is The Impact of the Tulsa Massacre 100 Years Later. And that was right around the time of the 100th commemoration of the Tulsa Race Massacre. You heard reporter Nehemiah Frank in that clip. He said, my family only had 56 years to build our wealth, and he did research on Mayor G.T. Bynum's family. That's Nehemiah Frank. It's on my right. You heard Angela Rye, analyst, legal analyst Angela Rye. You also heard Jelani Cobb, who's a journalism professor, in that clip as well. Okay, excellent reporting from Tiffany Cross. And once again, the white Republican mayor, G.T. Bynum of Tulsa, Oklahoma, his family collectively, going back to the 1660s through 1860, his family collectively owned 931 African slaves. But he's against reparations for the 3 survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre and descendants of survivors and descendants of the victims of the Tulsa Race Massacre. This is why elections have consequences. People like him and Governor Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma need to be voted out of office. Okay, those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to keep going for a few more minutes. We'll squeeze in this other story dealing with why the founder of Mother's Day turned against the holiday. You can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have the information there. You can register for the online history classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays, 10-week online courses. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. It's on sale $80, regularly $130. As soon as you register, you can watch class number 2 that we just did this weekend. You can join us in class next weekend. And then also from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. I did an intro to the class today. Class number 1 is going to start up Sunday, May 15th. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Okay, stand by. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We'll keep going for a few more minutes. We're only on 2 hours on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFEF on Sundays and Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to Eastern Standard Time. We're on 1 hour. Okay, so I'm going to post a link here. You can register for the online courses. I gather that information also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have a bundle pack of courses that I teach. So you get the 2 I just mentioned and also Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization. We have a bundle pack. You get all 3 classes for $120. Even after the course is over with, you still have full access to the class. You can go back and watch it anytime, okay? So a year from now, 2 years from now, you can still go back and watch the entire class. If you've taken any of my courses in the past, email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You get a 50% discount. All right. Okay. So I want to go to this last story. We'll keep you updated on what's happening with the lawsuit for the Tulsa Race Massacre. We also know there was a bill introduced by Representative Hank Johnson in the House of Representatives for reparations for the survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre. There was a bill introduced, I think that was last year. Okay, I think it was last year. I have to look. I think the only people that support the bill are Democrats. I don't think any Republicans support the bill. There was an article from Washington Post on this reparations bill. Yeah, it was May 21st, 2021 that the bill was introduced in the House of Representatives. And you can read this article here from the Washington Post. Usually Republicans don't support reparations of any type when it comes to African Americans. This article right here. Reparations bill for Tulsa Race Massacre survivors introduced in Congress. This is from May 21st, 2021. Representative Hank Johnson said the Tulsa Greenwood Massacre Claims Accountability Act would provide survivors and descendants access to the courts to seek restitution for one of the worst episodes of racial violence in U.S. history. In the past, he said survivors and descendants have had their claims rejected because of statutes of limitations. Okay. He said the victims of this atrocity have been denied justice for too long. The victims of this atrocity have been denied justice for too long. And Representative Hank Johnson of Georgia, African-American man, member of the Congressional Black Caucus, he is chairman of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Courts, Intellectual Property, and the Internet. Okay, so you can read the rest of this also here from the Washington Post. Reparations bill for Tulsa Race Massacre survivors introduced in Congress. Okay, I want to go to squeeze in this last story here very quickly. We've talked about this before, but we usually talk about this topic on Mother's Day. Usually I go deeper into the history on Mother's Day, but we don't have time today because we dealt with history of black jockeys since the Kentucky Derby was this weekend. But the founder of Mother's Day hated what the holiday became, okay? And if we look at this story here from the Huffington Post from May 8th, 2014, Anna Jarvis may have had the best intentions, but quickly despised her own invention, quickly despised her own invention. The founder of Mother's Day would not have wanted you to buy those flowers for mom, or that card, or those chocolates. In all likelihood, she wouldn't have wanted you to celebrate the holiday at all. The fact that we collectively spend roughly $25 billion on moms this year probably would have caused Anna Jarvis, the founder of what we now call Mother's Day, to throw her lunch on the floor like she reportedly did in the early 1900s when she found out that a department store in Philadelphia was offering a Mother's Day special. Okay, offering a Mother's Day special. Now, Anna Jarvis was a West Virginia woman without children of her own. And riffed on Julia Ward Howe's idea for a Mother's Peace Day when she organized a small celebration of her own mother's life at a Methodist church in 1908. Annoyed that most American holidays were dedicated to honoring male achievements, Anna Jarvis started a letter writing campaign to make it a national holiday, complete with white carnations, a visit to a good old mom, and maybe church. Maybe go to church with your mother. Her campaign worked, but not in the way she hoped. She never wanted Mother's Day to be the commercial holiday it quickly came to be. Perhaps she should have thought twice about getting financing for the first celebration from the owner of Wanamaker's, a major department store at the time. Now, soon after Congress made Mother's Day an official holiday in 1914, Anna Jarvis started actively campaigning against it. Anna Jarvis started actively campaigning against it, leveling harsh criticism against florists, candy makers, greeting card companies, and anyone else looking to make a buck off of the holiday. A 1924 story published in the Miami Daily News and Metropolis detailed Anna Jarvis's distaste for what Mother's Day had become. It pretty much comes down to this: consumerism stinks. She said commercialization of Mother's Day is growing every year. She said commercialization of Mother's Day is growing every year. She said since the movement has spread to all parts of the world, many things have tried to attach themselves because of its success. When it comes to florists, okay, she said florists are the worst. She said the red carnation has no connection with Mother's Day, yet florists have spread the idea that it should be worn for a mother who has passed away. This has boosted the sale of red carnations. She talked about candy makers as well. Confectioners put a white ribbon on a box of candy and advance the price just because it's Mother's Day, increase the price. There is no connection between candy and this day. It's pure commercialization. Now, this is Anna Jarvis, the woman who basically created the modern Mother's Day. Greeting card makers are terrible, as are lazy kids who just send pre-written cards. So Anna Jarvis, now this is old. This is from like 1924, okay? Because they mentioned a telegram, all right? So you know it's old. It's like the Waltons. You remember this TV show, The Waltons, from 1970, something like that? Okay, so she said, quote, "The sending of a wire is not sufficient," okay? Write a letter to your mother. No person is too busy to do this. Any mother would rather have a line of the worst scribble from her son or daughter than any fancy greeting card or telegram. Okay, so you know it's old talking about a telegram or a wire. All right, so all right, so there you have it, straight from the founder of Mother's Day herself, Anna Jarvis. Okay, so this deals with the commercialization of Mother's Day and how the founder of Mother's Day turned against the holiday that she helped create. This is from Huffington Post, May 8th, 2014. Okay, now if we look at the piece from history.com, also dealing with Mother's Day as well. Let's look at this quickly here. Mother's Day 2020 from history.com. And then also I want to pull up the National Retail Federation, which is nrf.com. Because when I look to see how much money the holidays generate, I go to National Retail Federation, nrf.com, for that. Okay, Mother's Day 2022. Let's get past these ads here at history.com. Let's look at this very quickly. And I have to get out of here. Mother's Day 2022. Okay, so we know Mother's Day is on the second Sunday in May. The American incarnation of Mother's Day was created by Anna Jarvis in 1908 and became an official U.S. holiday in 1914. Anna Jarvis would later denounce the holiday's commercialization and spent the latter part of her life trying to remove the Mother's Day holiday from the calendar. While dates and celebrations vary, Mother's Day traditionally involves presenting moms with flowers, cards, and other gifts. Okay, now, okay, so you can read the rest of this piece here. A lot of it, some of it is redundant from the article from the Huffington Post. Mother's Day, a Mother's Day at history.com, which is the official website of the History Channel. Now, if we look at this one here, this National Retail Federation, and let me see, can we? Usually they have the stuff on the home page, State of Retail, Mother's Day 2022. Okay, right here. It's right on the home page for right now. Later on, they'll move it off the home page. You can search for it. National Retail Federation, they do all types of studies on spending habits, things like this, and they have the information dealing with the holidays and how much is spent. Mother's Day 2022. Mother's Day spending is expected to total $31.7 billion. Expected to total, what just happened? Expected to total $31.7 billion for Mother's Day 2022. Let me back up. Which is up $3.6 billion from 2021's record spending. Approximately 84% of U.S. adults are expected to celebrate Mother's Day. And they have a breakdown here. They have a breakdown here on spending, retail, holiday, and seasonal trends. I have a background in marketing. Okay, so I've known about National Retail Federation for years. My degree is in business administration with a major in marketing. So I've known about, National Retail Federation for years. Top three categories for 2022. 75% will buy greeting cards. 72% will buy flowers. 57% will take their moms out for special outings. Mother's Day spending to reach record high. Okay, expected to be $31.7 billion. And Mother's Day Center explore data. Okay. All right, you can read the rest of this here at nrf.com, National Retail Federation. Okay, look, hey, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network. If you like the type of history we provide and news and things like this, you can support us. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills. Even though I'm on radio 5-6 days a week, I don't get paid to do radio. The radio station doesn't pay me to do radio. I don't get paid to be on Roland Martin Unfiltered either. So I have to sell the classes and try to generate revenue the best we can. $ the AHN Show through Cash App and also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. I'm working on building a new website as well. So we have the information here for Cash App and PayPal. This is our official Cash App account, $ the AHN Show, SHOW. When you go to it, it says Michael and shows my picture there. These other ones here, and there's like 2 or 3 other ones that I don't have listed here, are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. That's not me. There's people stealing money from us. I'm trying to get them shut down. Cash App has launched an investigation. I'm trying to have to follow up with them to see what's going on, but I'm trying to get them shut down. Okay, so we have our link here and the yellow donate button for PayPal. The new documentary from Amadeus Christ, director Amadeus Christ, Out of Darkness, Heavy is the Crown, which deals with the African origins of major religions. It's available right now at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's available right now at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And it features 2 of my teachers, Professor James Small and Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, as well as Tony Browder. Okay, so we have the DVDs, $25. You get one of my lectures free with it also. And we have a exclusive bundle pack here as well. In the bundle pack, you'll get some bonus lectures from me in the bundle as well. Click right there for the bundle pack. You get some bonus lectures from me, and you'll also get enrolled in our online history class, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, where they didn't teach you in school. Okay, so you'll get enrolled in that as well. And let me see, we have should have it. Okay, Out of Darkness bundle pack right there. Okay, so the bundle pack is $120. It includes the documentary Out of Darkness. It includes 4 of my lectures and enrollment in my 10-week online class, which is regularly $130. So in the bundle pack, you'll get my lecture dealing with the film Black Panther, a Black Panther analysis, African culture, history, and Afrofuturism. And the lecture deals with how the film Black Panther relates to African history, culture, language, spiritual systems, and a number of other things. It's a deep movie on multiple levels. Okay, then you get Ancient Kemet, the Winter Solstice and the History of Christmas. Ancient Kemet, the Winter Solstice and the History of Christmas is a 3-hour lecture I've done dealing with the African origins of Christmas. I'm dealing with the pre-Christian origins of Christmas, I should say. And it also connects to Ancient Kemet and Asar, Osset, and Heru. You'll get 6 principles of political self-defense, understanding how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. There are actually 2 lectures on here that I've done, 6 principles of political self-defense. And you'll get my double lecture I did with Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, who's featured in the documentary Out of Darkness. This is a 7-hour, it's actually a 7-hour double lecture we did here in Detroit. He dealt with the African connection, Africa, Mexico, and the Mississippi Valley. I dealt with the media's deliberate destruction of the African American family. Okay, so it's a 7-hour double lecture, and then also you'll get enrolled in my 10-week online history class, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, where they didn't teach you in school. So that's a bundle pack that we have that's $120. Okay, the Out of Darkness, Heavy is the Crown bundle pack. All right. So I'm going to post this link here. We have the bundle. Yeah, right here. Okay. Okay, here we go. We have the link for the DVD that's $25 or the bundle pack. Okay, so we'll post that right there. And it's at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, look, we have to get out of here. Remember, the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. If you want me to do a presentation for your group organization, I know Juneteenth is coming up. I won't be in Atlanta for Juneteenth. I'll be doing lectures here in Detroit. But if you want me to do a presentation in person or virtually, email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. If you want me to speak at your next event, especially for Juneteenth, email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Remember, right now it's correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever.